Let's rewind a bit. Imagine traveling back in time to an era where the world was vastly different, yet eerily similar in many ways. Picture a glorious empire, the continuation of the Roman Empire, if you will, but with better hats and even more intricate armor. This was a place where tradition met innovation. That's the Byzantine Empire for you. For over 1,000 years they ruled over the Eastern Mediterranean, a beacon of civilization, art, and surprisingly complicated court rituals. Their influence stretched far and wide, touching the lives of countless people. Constantinople, their capital, was the envy of the world. Think New York City, but with more mosaics and fewer rats. It was a city of grandeur, where the East met the West and cultures blended seamlessly. It was a melting pot of cultures, a center for trade and a pretty happening place. Merchants from all corners of the world would gather here, bringing with them exotic goods and stories of distant lands. They even had a sporting rivalry that makes today's football look tame. Chariot races were the main event, drawing massive crowds and creating fierce competition among teams. These Byzantines, they were no slouches. They gave us Justinian's Code, a legal system that's still the basis for many laws today. This code was a monumental achievement, bringing order and justice to the empire. They preserved ancient Greek texts, which would have been a shame to lose, trust me. These texts were the foundation of much of Western thought and philosophy. They even invented the fork, which is more than you can say for most empires. This simple yet revolutionary utensil changed the way people dined and is still in use today. But alas, all good things must come to an end, even empires with excellent hats. The Byzantine Empire eventually fell, but its legacy lives on, influencing our world in ways we often overlook. Like any family that's been around for a while, the Byzantines had their share of internal squabbles. These weren't just minor disagreements, but full-blown conflicts that could shake the very foundations of the empire. From power struggles between ambitious nobles to disputes over succession, the Byzantine court was often a hotbed of intrigue and tension. Imagine Thanksgiving dinner, but with more backstabbing and fewer mashed potatoes. Family gatherings could quickly turn into battlegrounds, with alliances forming and dissolving in the blink of an eye. The stakes were high, and the consequences of these internal conflicts could be dire. Succession crises, palace intrigues, you name it, they had it. The death of an emperor often led to a scramble for power, with various factions vying for control. These power struggles could lead to civil wars, weakening the empire from within and making it vulnerable to external threats. And the economy? Let's just say it was experiencing some turbulence. The constant infighting and power struggles took a toll on the empire's finances. Trade routes were disrupted and the once thriving marketplaces began to suffer. The economic stability that the empire had once enjoyed was now a distant memory. Inflation, trade disruptions, you know the drill. The value of currency fluctuated wildly, and merchants found it increasingly difficult to conduct business. The economic policies of the time often failed to address these issues, leading to further instability and hardship for the people. It's like trying to run a marathon with a hole in your pocket. You might finish, but it won't be pretty. The empire was struggling to keep up with its expenses, and the financial strain was evident in every aspect of daily life. From the poorest peasants to the wealthiest nobles, everyone felt the pinch. To make matters worse, they were surrounded by enemies. The Byzantine Empire was constantly under threat from external forces, whether it was rival kingdoms, invading armies, or rebellious provinces. Defending the empire's vast borders required significant resources, further draining the already strained economy. It's tough to balance the books when you're constantly having to defend your borders. The empire's leaders were often forced to make difficult decisions, prioritizing military spending over other essential needs. This only exacerbated the economic problems, creating a vicious cycle of decline. Imagine trying to do your taxes while being chased by a pack of wolves. Stressful, right? That's what it was like for the Byzantine officials trying to manage the empire's finances. The constant pressure and looming threats made it nearly impossible to implement effective economic policies. So, the once mighty Byzantine Empire began to weaken, like a once sharp sword slowly rusting away. The combination of internal strife, economic challenges, and external threats eroded the empire's strength, leading to its eventual decline. It was a slow and painful process, but the signs were clear for all to see. Now let's talk about the Crusades. Picture a bunch of well-intentioned but ultimately misguided knights showing up at your doorstep, claiming they're there to help. Awkward, right? The Crusades, initially aimed at reclaiming the Holy Land, ended up doing more harm than good to the Byzantines. The Fourth Crusade in particular was a real doozy. Instead of fighting the Muslims, the Crusaders decided to sack Constantinople in 1204. Talk about adding insult to injury. This betrayal weakened the Byzantine Empire even further, leaving them vulnerable to new threats. It's like lending your friend a helping hand, only to have them steal your car. Not cool, Crusaders, not cool. Section 4. Rise of the Ottomans. New kids on the block, and they're here to stay. Meanwhile, in Anatolia, a new power was on the rise, the Ottoman Turks. Think of them as the new kids on the block, ambitious, hungry, and with a knack for military strategy. The Ottomans gradually chipped away at the Byzantine territories, taking advantage of their weakened state. It was like watching a game of Risk, where one player slowly but surely conquers the board. By the 14th century, the once mighty Byzantine Empire had been reduced to a shadow of its former self. Constantinople, their last bastion of hope, was surrounded by Ottoman forces. The writing was on the wall, and it wasn't in Greek. Section 5. The walls come tumbling down, the fall of Constantinople, a real tearjerker. The year is 1453, a year that would forever change the course of history. The Ottoman Sultan, Mehmed II, a young and ambitious ruler, sets his sights on Constantinople. His dream? To make it the jewel of his empire. He's got a massive army, cannons that could make a castle tremble, and a burning desire to conquer the city. His forces are well-equipped and highly motivated. The Byzantines, outnumbered and outgunned, put up a valiant defense. They knew the stakes were high, their very survival depended on it. They fought with courage and determination, but the odds were stacked against them. Every man, young and old, took up arms to defend their beloved city. It was like trying to hold back a tidal wave with a toothpick. The sheer force of the Ottoman army was overwhelming. After a siege that lasted for weeks, the Ottomans finally breached the city walls on May 29, 1453. The city that had stood for over 1,000 years was now under Ottoman control. Constantinople fell, and with it, the Byzantine Empire. The once mighty empire crumbled, marking the end of an era. Cue the dramatic music and the slow-motion collapse of a once great civilization. The fall of Constantinople was not just the end of a city, but the end of an epic. Section 6. The aftermath, picking up the pieces and moving on. The fall of Constantinople sent shockwaves throughout Europe. It was a stark reminder that even the mightiest empires can crumble. It also marked the end of an era, the closing of a chapter in history. The Ottoman Turks, now masters of Constantinople, transformed the city into their capital, renaming it Istanbul. They went on to rule a vast empire for centuries, leaving their own mark on history. As for the Byzantines, their legacy lived on in their art, architecture, and cultural achievements. Their influence can still be felt today, a testament to their enduring impact. Section 7. Echoes of Byzantium, still relevant, believe it or not. So, why should we care about the Byzantine Empire today? Well, for starters, they provide a fascinating case study in the rise and fall of empires. They teach us that even the most powerful civilizations are not invincible. Moreover, the Byzantine Empire left behind a rich cultural legacy that continues to inspire and intrigue us. Their art, architecture, and literature offer a glimpse into a lost world, a world of splendor, intrigue, and yes, even humor. So the next time you're sipping your coffee and contemplating the state of the world, spare a thought for the Byzantines. They may be gone, but their story is far from over.